First and foremost, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahushai, Ba'ashem, Rakak, Kodash. Yahweh is who this world ignorantly calls God. Yahweh Shai is who this world ignorantly calls Jesus. Bahashim means in the name, Rakah means spirit, and Kodash means holy. And that's all in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Today's lesson, I wanted to touch on this vision slash dream that this brother had and just go into how powerful it was, right? It was powerful dream that this brother had about ultimately being delivered, okay, and being saved from the destruction that was happening around him, exactly as the scriptures tell us, right? So, first scripture I want to get, as you see it at the top of the video, Joel chapter 2 and verse 28, which goes into how the Most High in the last days, he was going to make his people, or people all over the world, okay, have visions of what is coming. So this is Joel chapter 2 and verse 28. It says, "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy." Wasalakia. I reread that twice. It says, "And it shall come to pass afterward that I will pour out my spirit upon all flesh, and your sons and your daughters shall prophesy. Your old men shall dream dreams, your young men shall see visions, and also upon the servants and upon the handmaids in those days will I pour out my spirit." Right, and this has been happening. Okay, worldwide, people are having dreams of the end. Okay, they're having dreams of scenarios that the scriptures talk about. And that's actually how you know that a dream is a vision, if it's directly linked to Bible prophecy. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to play this video, and as I play it, I'm going to stop it and just pull scriptures that go into what he's saying.
Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and shalom to all the Akim out there. Continue to push this thing of ours in truth and sincerity. I'm the brother Manatazak, and I just want to share a quick testimony that I had the other night regarding the war in heaven and the deliverance of the elect. To start off, this vision I had was very intense. I woke up in a cold sweat, and I had a migraine. Usually when I have dreams and visions, I don't normally wake up, go to sleep, and go right back into the same dream. That's what helped me to understand that this was something serious, because I woke up 2 or 3 times during this vision, and I jumped right back into the same scene, the same scenario. And I've only been in the truth for a couple years, and at least once a year, I'll have a very intense vision like this. And at first, I wasn't going to share this openly, because I don't want brothers to think I'm trying to exhort myself or try to big myself up. I'm trying to be very careful in this thing of ours, because I realize how important, how serious this is. So I'm just trying to stay in my lane, basically do what I can to help the Akim and help push this truth. But it wasn't until getting some advice from the elder brother Mawatazak, and also staying in deep in prayer, that I realized that sharing this testimony will be the best way to help further this truth, because dealing with the things that we deal with on a daily basis, and trying to fight this fight, sometimes we need words of exhortation and words of hope. So Lord willing, this short testimony can be that to the sincere Akim and Akwathium out there that are continuing to push this word, this sound doctrine. Okay, so without further ado, to jump right into it, basically, it started off that we were all on a beach, and when I say we, I mean mainly the different camps of Great Millstone. The different camps from Chicago were all there, Dallas, the GMS Los Angeles camp, Mississippi. We were all at a resort. Back in the world, I used to travel a lot to like Cancun, different places in Mexico, and this is what it reminded me of. White sand beaches, tropical blue water, a nice resort. We were all there, and all of a sudden, we looked up in the sky and we started seeing chariots. Now, being out here in Los Angeles, chariots show up quite often, at least every other week. On my channel, I've uploaded some videos of chariots showing up, and when they showed up in my vision, they looked exactly like they do on the video, just bright lights in the sky. But as more and more Akim started to look up in the sky and notice the chariots, they started to be more and more frequent. They started to show up and get closer, and they all had different designs. The best way I could explain it is, I can't really put into words, but when you see movies like Independence Day and War of the Worlds, they look exactly like that as far as mechanical wise, but there seemed to be life with them, like they had a personality of their own, like they were alive. That's the best way that I could put it. They did.
Right, and what he said right there was actually on point. Right, going into how the chariots, so-called UFOs, okay, they seem to have a spirit on them. Right, and the reason is because the angels individually they have their own spirits / personalities. They're not all the same, right? And every single chariot you see up in the sky is a different angel. So let's actually get that in Ezekiel. Let me close some of my tabs. Let's get that in Ezekiel chapter 1 and verse 16. We're going into so-called UFOs, the vehicles of the angels. We call them chariots. It says, the appearance of the wheels and their work was like unto the color of a beryl, and they four had one likeness, and their appearance and their work was as it were a wheel in the middle of a wheel, right? So the work is going into the vehicle, right? It said that the color was like a color of beryl, right? Let's search that up. Beryl. This is the color that they had, like a reddish, no, like a lime. So that was the color they had, and it said that it was as a wheel inside of a wheel. And to really envision this, imagine a flying saucer, but from a top view perspective. Okay, I don't have a paint app. Let me see if paint online. See if we can find some. Right. So imagine wheel inside of a wheel. So if you look at a chariot from the side, it looks like this. And with the dot, with the top. Normally that's how they paint them out to be, right? But how Ezekiel was seeing it was from the top view, a wheel inside of a wheel, right? Which that's just this sideways, okay? Or this is the vertical on top view. This is the sideways view. So that's what Ezekiel was seeing. That's how he was describing the chariot, okay? So going back, it says, when they went upon their four sides, and they turned not when they went, right? So going into their movement, right? They were able to go up, down, left, right, but it says that they turned not when they went, right? So imagine they were facing forward, they were going forward. All of a sudden, they could hit a 45-degree angle upwards, okay? Not even moving the way that they're looking, right? Completely defying the laws of this dimension, right? So they could be looking forward and be going backwards. They could be going sideways and be looking down. It's just their movement is 360. So it says, as for their rings, they were so high that they were dreadful, and their rings were full of eyes round about them four, right? And we go into this describing it as the lights, right? Whenever you see those chariots, they normally have lights all around them, okay? It says, and when the living creatures went, the wheels went by them. And when the living creatures were lifted up from the earth, the wheels were lifted up. Whithersoever the spirit was to go, they went. Thither was their spirit to go. And the wheels were lifted up over against them. For the spirit of the living creature was in the wheels. And that's what we're talking about today. Okay, is that the spirit of the living creature, the angels, was in the wheels that work, those vehicles. Okay, they control and maneuver those vehicles. So when the brother was saying that, okay, all the chariots had, they all looked mechanically the same, but they all were moving different, had different personalities. That's because there's different angels in every single one of those vehicles, the wheels, chariots, UFOs, whatever you want to call it. So let's keep watching the video.
Didn't seem like just normal machines or vehicles. There was a very high intensity to them, almost an intelligence, and there were different designs. They were in formation, and it was a very intense feeling to look up and see them. Even though being in the truth, we know that Yahweh Shai is coming back, with the angels and with the chariots, but to see them up close, it was very intimidating. And there were other people at the resort as well, and they were freaking out, crying and asking what was going on. But a lot of the Akim were just giving all praises to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, saying Kwam Yasharallah. But all of a sudden, the military showed up, or the Air Force rather. They started to try to shoot down the chariots, but the chariots don't move with the same laws and physics that a normal aircraft would. They defy the laws of gravity, the laws of physics, and they alter reality. Is the best way I could put it, because a lot of the missiles would just phase through the chariots and hit opposing U.S. forces. A lot of them would just disappear right before they hit a chariot. The chariots would disappear and reappear. Just the type of things that they did, that defied reality, and it it was a crazy sight to see. The whole heavens were full of this battle, and even Esau and his technology, he was bringing out ships and different jet fighters that looked like chariots, but they weren't. I mean, you could tell the difference, like almost as if they were trying to imitate the technology of the Most High. Because I know that they have these telescopes and these satellites, and they see these chariots all the time, and they always put what they see, in my opinion, in these movies, as far as like Independence Day and these different kind of alien invasion movies. I think that they put in these movies what they see in the heavens, because that's exactly what the chariots look like in this particular vision of mine, you know. But it was the battle didn't last long. I mean, looking up, I mean, the whole sky was full of this battle, but it was over like in a matter of seconds. I mean, that's what it seemed like, because these Esau and his technology, you have no chance against the chariots. When they would fire their lasers from the ships, and they would hit these different jet fighters, they would dissolve from the outside in. There'd be no
Right, and when he was going into, or how he said how, hey, that fight lasted seconds, because that's exactly what the scriptures say. And when you go to 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, it goes into Yahushai's second coming. So this is 2nd Esdras, chapter 13, and verse 1. It says, "And it came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night, and lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven. And when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him." Right? And that man waxing strong is talking about Yahushai coming with the thousands of heaven, going into those angels, right? And those angels in those ships specifically, right? Because a key point, reason we know this, is because when you go to Revelation, the first chapter, and verse 7, talking about Yahushai, it says, "Behold, he cometh with clouds, and every eye shall see him, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of the earth shall wail because of him, even so all men." Right? So in Esdras, it said that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, going into the angels, and here he says that he's coming with clouds. Okay? Showing you that the angels are synonymous with the clouds, which ultimately is talking about those vehicles, so-called UFOs, the chariots. Right? Another one is in Acts, the first chapter, where we read that Yahushai, in the way that he left. Right? Acts chapter 1 and verse 9, it says, "And when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up, and a cloud received him out of their sight." Right? And this is talking about when Yahushai went back to the Father. Okay, he left in a cloud. Okay, and those clouds is talking about a so-called UFO, right? One of the chariots. It says, "And while they looked steadfastly toward heaven as he went up, behold, 2 men stood by them in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven? This same Yahushai, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall so come in like manner as ye have seen him go into heaven." Right? So the angels were telling the apostles, right, hey, the same way you saw him leaving that cloud is the same way he's coming back. Right? Because Yahushai, he himself is going to come on the Fathership. He's going to come back in the biggest chariot that humanity has ever seen. So when we talk about how, and when the brother was talking about how they get these ideas of Independence Day, right, and War of Worlds from the scriptures, he's on point, right? What I'm about to show you right now, okay, comes straight out of the scriptures, right? With this right here, this movie, you have a giant chariot, okay, and out of the giant chariot comes out little small chariots, okay, like shuttle ships. Independence Day shuttle ships. Independence Day. Let's search it up. Let's just search up UFOs. Yeah, this is what were coming out of the Fathership, was these little small ones, okay, and they were fighting with Esau, right, the military. So hey, this is straight out of the scriptures, and we're about to read it right now. So going back to 2nd Esdras 13, it says, "And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed strong with the thousands of heaven, and when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea. Right, and this is going into all these nations. Okay, in this same chapter, we read that all these nations, they're going to be fighting World War III against each other. Right, America against Russia, Iran versus Israel. Everybody's going to be fighting amongst each other. But when they see Yahweh Shai crack those clouds with the angels, they're all going to put their little fights, their little wars aside, and everybody's going to come together to fight Yahweh Shai. Okay, that's what's going to happen. But verse 6, it says, But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and he flew up upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. So, hey, this is going into his ship, right? The ship was referred to as a great mountain, okay? It says, But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew up upon him, right? He made himself a fathership. And he said, Esdras was saying, I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. Right? So Esdras was trying to say that he was trying to see the region or place where the hill was graven, but he could not. He was trying to see how big the ship was. Right? He was trying to see where it began, where it ended, but he couldn't even see that. Right? So north, south, west, east, that's how big it was. He was looking up in the sky, and all he could see was that chariot. That's how big. That's insane. That's insane. And the reason we know this is talking about a chariot is because it says he flew up upon it, right? And in Acts, the first chapter, we read that he flew upon the cloud. And the same way he left is the same way he's coming back. Okay, so in the scriptures, they call the UFOs clouds. They call them great mountains. They call them the thousands of heaven. It's all talking about those vehicles. Okay, and what we just read was this right here, Independence Day. Okay, that giant chariot with the smaller ones coming out. But it says, with the thousands of heaven, it says, And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight, going into these nations. Right, they're going to be shitting themselves to fight Yahweh Shai, but the Lord Yahweh, the Most High, is going to put it in their minds to do it regardless. It says, And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were mixed all together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. So this is going into how Yahweh Shai was fucking up all these nations, right? It says that out of his mouth came fire, okay, a flaming breath, and a great tempest. And this is going into spiritual power, right? Because Yahweh Shai said that when he came back, he was not going to meet us as a man. Okay, and I think that's in Isaiah chapter 47 and let's start at verse 1. It says, Come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon, sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans, for thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Right, and this is talking about Babylon the Great, okay, America. Okay, this place, they believe themselves to be widows. Right, you go and read in Revelation, the 18th chapter, it talks about how Babylon, they say that they are a widow, and that they shall never see sorrow or death, and they shall always stand on top, roughly paraphrasing. And this is going into the mentality of these Americans. Right, they believe that they're the apex predators on top, and that America is never going to fall. But Yahweh Shai said, hey, that's all going to go out the window. You're no longer going to be called tender and delicate. It says, Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks, make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers. Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. As for our Redeemer, the Lord of hosts is his name, the Holy One of Israel. Right? This is talking about Yahushai. Right? Yahushai, he's the one that's going to come back to really set vengeance and judgment upon this place. And the key point is it said that he is not going to meet this place, this world, as a man. He's coming back in his full spiritual form. So, going back to 2nd Ezra 13, let's finish it off. We read about he's going to destroy them instantly. Same thing as the brother said in a couple seconds. But let's read the part about how all these nations are going to be fighting. And when they see Yahushai, they're going to come together. And in verse 32 it says, And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. And when all the people hear his voice, hey, and that's crazy, right? It's crazy that, hey, Esdras wrote this, and let's do a little history right now because I just had a epiphany, right? A little nugget was thrown at me going into how, hey, the Lord, and these scriptures don't lie. Everything goes together, right? So Esdras, when was Ezra, in the Bible it's called Ezra, and Apocrypha Esdras, same person. When was Ezra written? It says 440 BC. Okay, now let's search up when was Acts written. 60 to 90 CE. So here it is, right? Esdras, 400 years before Yahushai, was talking about how Yahushai was going to leave in a cloud, right? As it says right here, whom thou sawest as a man ascending, going into Acts, the 1st chapter, right? So before Yahushua even went up, Esdras already prophesied. Okay, that's powerful. But it says, and when all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them willing to come and to overcome him by fighting, but he shall stand upon the top of the Mount Zion. And that's the point. They're all going to be fighting against each other, but when they see Yahushai, they're going to leave that battle and come against Yahushai in one accord. But ultimately, Yahushua is going to stand on top. So let's get back to the video.
No shrapnel, no wreckage that would fall down to the sky. It's like they would get hit in midair and just dissolve before they hit anything. It was unreal. And looking up, a lot of us Akim were frightened, myself included, because at that exact moment, the chariots start shooting down at the people on the resort. And when these lasers hit the people, they would literally disintegrate, and their clothes would burst into flames, almost as if they were being, instantaneously dehydrated. They would just burst into like a cloud of like pink dust. And you would look down and you would see it would look like a pile of like Himalayan salt, like pink Himalayan salt was all that was left of them, and it would slowly dissolve. And these golden rays of energy would be firing down from the sky and hitting these people, and that we start running. So I heard one of the Akim say, we got to get to the room. So everybody took off running in the direction of the resort, and all the while these lasers are firing down on these people and completely incinerating them. And I didn't realize until later, after a deep thought and really trying to analyze this dream, that the chariots were firing at these people, making a way for us to get to the resort, because it was all chaos, it was all hectic. But during the dream, I was scared because there was people right next to me being incinerated, and like these pink bursts of just dust and salt would just hit me. I could feel the heat from the lasers, from their bodies just exploding, from the fire from their clothes. It almost seemed like the atmosphere was on fire. It was very intense. One particular brother from the camp, Yalad, he was running directly in front of me, and as we were running, I could feel myself getting tired, and I kept wanting to stop. Like I kept telling myself that I'm not going to make it. I need to stop. I need to catch my breath. And through the spirit, this brother kept saying, "Hey, what are you doing, man? We got to keep going. We got to keep moving. Let's go." And I remember almost arguing with him, like, "Man, I'm tired. Like, let me just catch my breath." And he's like, "No, we got to keep going. We got to keep going." So I felt myself dig down, keep running, and somehow, me and the brother made it back to the room. And as we went to the room, there was a large number 5 on the door. And I remember knocking on the door, and one of the brothers from the camp, Danyala, opened the door, and he was dressed in all white. And as soon as he opened the door, he saw me and Yalad, and he started, jumping up and down like, yeah, you guys made it. So we did the salute. He let us in the door, and all the while, people are still getting zapped by these chariots. So people saw that the countenance on us was different, I guess, because when they looked at us and saw us celebrating, they knew that they needed to get where we were. So a group of people tried to run into the room, like, we got to get where they are. We got to go to this room. Like, we got to go with those guys. And I remember Don Yalo looking out at them and saying, hey, if you can get in, then you can get in. But nobody could get through the door. The door was wide open, but it's like something was blocking them from getting in. And all the while, they were getting blasted by these lasers right in front of the door. And the door just closed by itself. It shut and it locked. And we can hear people screaming outside the room.
And right there, what he was going into, that made me think about how in the end days, people are going to realize that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushai is dealing with a certain group of men. Right? That's why it says in Isaiah chapter 19 and verse Isaiah chapter 19 and Isaiah chapter 13 and verse 12 says, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Right? And the reason a man is going to be so precious is because that man, the Lord is going to be directly supping with him. The Lord is going to be giving revelations to him. Okay, wisdom. Okay, guidance, leadership on what to do, how to stay alive. Okay, and these people, they're going to peep that. They're going to peep that. Hey, exactly the same thing that this brother said. Right? They looked upon our countenance and they saw us rejoicing instead of being all sad and afraid. Okay, and hey, just off a normal person seeing that, they're going to think, why are these people laughing and rejoicing when all this shit is happening around them, right? I need to know whatever they know to be in this mentality, right? Because the reason we act this way is because the knowledge that we've been given, okay? And they're going to know that. They're going to know that something is different about us because we ain't acting like everybody else, okay? And that's when they're going to be looking for the word. They're going to be looking for the prophets, but it's going to be too late. Right? As it says in Amos chapter 9 and Amos chapter 8 and verse 11, it says, Behold, the day is come, saith the Lord God, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread, nor a thirst for water, but of hearing the words of Yahweh. Right? So there's going to be a point in time where we're not going to be speaking these words. It's going to be illegal. It's going to be a liability to go into the Bible because it is going to be, what's the word? It's going to be deemed seditious. It's just going to be illegal, right? What the words that we are speaking are truth, okay? And the truth is this devil's biggest problem because the truth dismantles all the lies that he has set forth. So there's going to be a point where persecution, right? They're going to be looking for the men of the Lord. It says, and they shall wander from sea to sea, and from the north even to the east. They shall run to and fro to seek the word of the Lord, and shall not find it. Okay, and the way you find the word of the Lord is through his men teaching it. Right? We are the mediators. Okay, this ain't our message, this is the Lord's message. And we just say whatever he told us to say. But another scripture, Psalms chapter 110 and verse 3, it says, Thy people shall be willing in the day of thy power, and the beauties of holiness from the womb of the morning thou hast to do of thy youth. Right? So when these Israelites, okay, they see all this shit going down that we told them that was going to happen, when they see everything going down, that's when they're going to be willing. Okay? Because at that time, it's no longer about faith. Right? Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. Right? In that day, you're not even going to need faith. Right? And I'm saying that loosely, right? You're not going to even need faith to believe of what's coming because it's going to be right in front of you, right? So, scriptures talk about how our people, they lack faith, right? They're hard-headed, rebellious, and stiff-necked, okay? And when everything goes down, that's when they're going to be willing. But it's going to be too late, okay? It's going to be too late, right? The gates of mercy are open right now, and soon they are going to close. And that's what I understood by the brother saying that, hey, the door was wide open to get into their room, right? And that room, I believe spiritually, is going into the elect, right? The door was wide open. The gates of mercy are open right now. But, and that's why the brother said, hey, if you can come in, come in. right? But they were trying to come in, but it was not possible, right? It was not possible. The Lord just cut them off. And you can see when the gates of mercy really closed, when that door closed by itself, and you just heard the destruction of going out. And that's what the scripture's saying, right? That the destruction wasn't going to come until, let's find it. Where's that scripture? Um, right. Matthew chapter 24 and verse 14, it says, "And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations, and then shall the end come." Right? That's the point, is that, hey, for the end to come, all the elect have to hear the word and have to be sealed. Okay? And right now, we're in the process of doing that. By these videos I'm making, by the brothers making videos worldwide, going, hey, wherever they're downtown, their place of commerces where people are passing by, just walking, hey, going downtown every single week. Okay, by doing this work, the people are waking up. And until the last of the elect hear this word, the end is not going to come. So that's what I found symbolic with that dream, right? How, hey, the brother said, hey, come in, come in. The gates of mercy are open right now. We're preaching. But when it's time to close that door, there ain't no opening. You ain't gonna, the Lord's not gonna cover you. So let's keep watching the
And I
video.
remember looking across the room and seeing particular brothers from the camp. You know, Mawatazak was there, Barak, Dama'ah, Micah Allah, Zion, and they were all holding their Bibles and saying the Shemai prayer in Hebrew. And it was just, it was a very intense, very scary feeling, because even though I was with the brothers, I could still hear the people outside the room, you know, dying in agony. And before long, you know, the firing stopped, and we looked out onto the balcony, and Wazak told us to all step out onto the balcony. And when we did, we saw these different, I want to call them shuttlecrafts, coming towards the balcony. Remember, we're on the 5th floor. So as we all stepped onto the balcony, we went onto these shuttlecrafts 2 by 2, okay? And the shuttlecrafts would slowly lift us up into the air. And as we looked up, the sky was completely covered. It almost looked like it was pitch black, except there were hundreds of these bright golden circles underneath the craft. And every shuttlecraft was going up into these. So I was with the brother Yalad in one of these shuttlecraft, and as we went up into this massive ship, we all met inside in what looked like a big, I want to say, amphitheater. I don't know if brothers ever went to see any plays or any shows like that in Vegas, but it looked like the lobby of one of those, where it was just, there were chandeliers, there were lamps, there were large stones that were glowing, there were chairs encircling the room, and large windows looking down onto the resort. And as we went up into these craft, into this big craft, a lot of the brothers from the different camps were.
Right, and I'll leave it right there. Right, what he was going into is going into the salvation. Right, what he said about him and another brother going up, okay, on a shuttle ship onto a giant ship, that's also in the scriptures. Revelation chapter 11 and verse 11, it says, "And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them." Right, and this is going on right now. This is talking about the elect waking up. Right, the elect throughout all 4 quarters of the world, through the preaching of the prophets, the spirit of life is entering into them, and they are standing upon their feet. Okay, the reason we're standing upon our feet is because we have hope now. We know that this is not going to be our life forever. Okay, this captivity, this hellhole. Okay, and we know ultimately that we are the Israelites. We are the top of the top, the creme de la creme, the best of the best. Okay, and that soon the world is going to see that. Though soon the world is going to be our kingdom. That's why we're standing upon our feet. It says, "And great fear fell upon them which saw them." Right, going into the elites, going into those that know who we are. Fear is falling upon them because they know the scriptures also. Right, the elites, they have their scholars that go into the scriptures, into the prophecies. They watch other brothers' videos, okay, and they know the knowledge of what's happening. Right, and they know that once we start waking up, it means that their kingdom is about to go down. And that's why fear is falling upon them. It says, and this is the point, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, Come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And that's exactly what the brothers just said, right? How he ascended up to heaven in a shuttle ship, aka a cloud, okay, aka UFO, aka a chariot. That's how the salvation is gonna happen. The same way we see in all these movies, okay, how you have a tractor beam, UFO person, is the same way it's essentially gonna be, right? We're gonna be going up into a so-called UFO, right? Ascending up in a cloud. Okay, so hey, that vision is powerful, man. Straight out of the scriptures. It says, and they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. And the same hour was there a great earthquake, and the 10th part of the city fell. And in the earthquake were slain of men 7,000, and the remnant were affrighted and gave glory to the God of heaven. Right, and this is going into the destruction. Right, the same way, right before the destruction, the salvation is going to happen. Right, so while the elect are getting beamed up, right, into those ships, right, on the ship, okay, the world is going to be completely being destroyed, right? Nukes going down. So, hey, it's going to be a scary sight. But the Lord got us, Lord willing, I'm a part of that number. Right, and another scripture that goes hand in hand with this, right, the key part, how we went into how first we were on a shuttle ship, and then we went into a giant ship. Right, in Isaiah chapter 24 and verse Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20. In Isaiah chapter 26 and verse 20 says, Come, my people, enter thou into thy chambers, and shut thy doors about thee. Hide thyself, as it were for a little moment, until the indignation be overpast. Right? And this is talking about the salvation just in a different manner. The salvation / destruction. It says, For behold, the Lord cometh out of his place to punish the inhabitants of the earth for their iniquity. The earth also shall disclose her blood, and shall no more cover her slain. Right, so the destruction. Right, but before the destruction, right, his people are going into their chambers and shutting the doors. Right, this is talking about that giant ship we were taken into. Right, because hey, it talks about hiding yourself for a little moment until the indignation be overpast. We're going to be hiding in that chamber, in that ship, while the Lord is destroying down here. Right? When you think about a chamber, right, a chamber goes into a pretty much a large room, right? So this right here, exactly what the brother was going into, how there's chandeliers on the roof, right? How there's giant stones, okay? That's exactly what's in the scriptures. Okay, let's keep
We're
watching
all
the
there.
video.
We were all, saying Kwam Yasharala, saying the salute, giving all praises. And I noticed a feeling of relief almost. But then I looked and saw that opposite the room, this amphitheater that we were all in was full of nothing but IUIC members. Okay, they were all in their purple and gold. I saw Nate, I saw Yawasop. I saw all these different IUIC figures. And they was all in their regalia with the bracers and the combat boots and all that. And I noticed that they had these proud looks on their faces. They stared across at us. They were saying, yeah, we made it. We told you, we knew it. They were doing cartwheels and just jumping up and just, they were bragging, and all of a sudden a group of angels came. I mean, they weren't glowing. They didn't have wings, but I knew they were angels because they were tall. They had real stoic looks on their faces. They came and they separated us into groups, but they kept the members of IUIC on one side of the amphitheater, and they were led down a hallway with glowing red lights. And they all went in. They were marching, but then they started getting quiet. They started getting really quiet as they started looking around, asking questions. And the further and further they went down this tunnel with the red lights, you could see the look on their faces, like they didn't know what was going on. They were unsure of themselves all of a sudden. And before any of them could ask any questions or before anything could be explained, a metal door shut on all of them. And all of the rest of the Akim were looking at each other like, oh, what's going on? Like, what was that about? But before we can ask any questions, we were all separated into groups. And we were led down 12 different hallways. And each of the hallways had the stone of our particular tribe. And, it was written in Hebrew, and the hallways were glowing. And we were all divided by our particular tribes down these hallways.
Right, and that's another thing is that goes to show that salvation is only for Israel. Right? 12 doors with all 12 tribes. We're going to get divided based on our tribes. Okay, salvation is only for the Israelites. Okay, when you go into actually the prophets, the 144,000, okay, it tells you in Revelation, the 14th chapter, that there is 12,000 out of every single tribe, right? And that's Revelation 7, I mean. Revelation chapter 7, and you can see it right here. And I heard the number of them which are sealed, and there are sealed 144,000 from all the tribes of the children of Israel. Of the tribe of Judah, sealed 12,000, tribe of Reuben, 12,000, and it keeps on going until you reach Benjamin. So 12,000 men from each tribe, okay, that's going into 144,000. The prophets are doing the work today nonstop. Lord willing, I'm a part of that number.
And I remember walking single file.
And that's beautiful. Hey, the moment I stopped that, hey, look at the time, right? 14:47. I was at 14:43, around there, but the 144, man. Talking about the 144,000.
Down the hallway of Judah, Yahweh, and at the end of the tunnel was a bright light. And as I approached the light, I could feel my heart racing, just excitement, anxiety. And as soon as I entered the light, I woke up.
Another point, I think I said that. Hey, looking at my time right now, I think while I was talking about that, it hit 40 minutes and 41 seconds. 144 backwards. So, hey, we're on the Lord's timing, man. The Lord is constantly showing signs that He is dealing.
And when I woke up, I jumped out of bed, almost as if I was trying to catch my breath, like I was falling from a high, like when you're on a roller coaster and you go down that big dip and you kind of lose your breath. That's exactly what it felt like. And I looked down and I noticed that I was in a cold sweat, but my sheets were completely soaked, full of sweat, and I had a massive migraine. And that's when I knew that this was most likely a vision. Now, the specifics of it, I can't say if that's exactly how it's going to happen, but I knew that this was something important, so I shared it with the head of the camp. And, through prayer and through much thought, I'm now sharing it with you, Akim. So I'm saying all that just to say that, even though, the times are tearing, a lot of things are happening through the Spirit. As Apostle the Harpoon, this is the year of prophecy, and things are moving. We're not even through the end of the year yet, and observatories are shutting down, stores are continuing to close, the mark of the beast is still being pushed, and the men of the Lord are still on the streets, preaching and teaching, week in and week out. So I say that just to say that no matter how hard it looks or how hard it gets, continue to fight for this thing, okay? Because this is all that we have. And, through the Spirit, even when I wanted to give up, I had the Akim there to continue to push me to keep going, to keep fighting. And Lord willing, that's what this video can do for any Akim that are feeling weak or that just need a boost in faith. Okay, this is the brother Manatazat from GMS Ancient Days in Los Angeles. I just want to say, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that continue to rule well and lead the sheep in the right direction through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, and Shalom to all the Akim out there. Continue to push and continue to fight because we're almost out of here. Shalom.
So, that was a powerful vision, man. Powerful vision by the brother GMS Washman. And there's nuggets in there, points that I didn't even touch on. Right? If I went through everything that I saw in there, we'd be here all day. Right? And brothers are probably going to watch that video, make videos themselves, and they're probably going to have a different take and see a different perspective. That's how the truth is the scriptures refer to the truth as living waters, right? Constantly evolving. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. Hopefully this was edifying. With that, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakodash, and double honors to the elder bishops and apostles of Great Millstone that taught me this truth. Shalom, Tim, like Shalom.